Governor, you still remember almost city by city the crowds of last year, don't you?
Yes, sir. We had tremendous crowd, larger than the other candidates, in Detroit, in Chicago, in Cleveland, in Youngstown, in
Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden, in Seattle and Los Angeles, the Cow Palace in San Francisco, the Pittsburgh Arena, Buffalo, Milwaukee.
And they didn't all vote for you.
No, sir. I would say that these tremendous crowds in Cobo Hall and Madison Square Garden, the amphitheater in Chicago, that gave us probably the most tumultuous welcome ever given to a presidential candidate, in the final analysis didn't vote for us, but they believed in what we stood for. But even though we didn't win in the number of votes, we did win in that both parties moved toward the middle. Mr. Nixon sounded in his campaign as if his speeches were written in Alabama. And now whether or not he carries out these commitments remains to be seen.
You were the subject of you were the object of a lot of hatred during the campaign, as you acknowledge, of course.
Yes, sir.
Did that bother you?
Well, it bothered me for this reason. I don't hate anybody because of who they happen to be. I dislike immensely philosophies of government, such as the subversive communist philosophy that wants to undermine and destroy society, those who believe it in this country. But the news media has played a person like myself up, who's been honest about race relations, has been a racist. I'm not a racist. I want to see the American dream further fulfilled of a better life and peace and prosperity for people of all races and colors in this country. And so I worried about the fact that the news media had brought about, through its distorted statements about me and the people of Alabama, some ill feeling by certain groups of people. Now, the subversive element in this country despised Mr. Nixon, Mr. Humphrey, and myself also. But I'm talking about an average citizen who thought that I was evil because they thought I was a racist, which I am not. And if I had to run a campaign locally in Alabama or nationally against somebody because of race or color, a creed, a religion, or national origin, I would not be a candidate. My religious background just wouldn't allow me to do that.
You sit here in a lovely backyard in Montgomery, Alabama, and you are a man who was a presidential candidate and perhaps maybe again. And it's rather difficult to imagine you ever coming just to sit in this backyard and not run for anything again.
Well, of course that time will come, but I enjoy sitting at home, and I enjoy being at home like normal people in our country. They love their home, they love their children, they love their home folks. I love to go down to my little country town of Clayton, Alabama, and the little town of Clio, Alabama, where I was born. I like to go sit around the Confederate Monument in Clayton and the courthouse and talk over, see old friends and to reminisce, because that's great life. But I like the inactive life at times, and of course I like to be active too.
Do you notice any change of trend in this country over the last year?
So I see much change. The country's swinging back to the right. The liberal jag that people have been on, that have accepted, is now moving the other way. And you will find that the National Democratic Party's ultra-liberal leadership, personified by Mr. Kennedy and Mr. McGovern and Mr. Muskie, that's out for a long time to come.